What's up, Dice Towers? Me, Bryan Drake. Here's the deal. We're taking a look at two Queen games today. Not in the same video, two different videos. First of all, Merlin. That's what we're looking at in this video. No coffee analogies, no silly shenanigans to start this one off. We're going straight to the table to find out how Merlin plays. It's a Stefan Feld game. Does it feel like other Feld games? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it hard? Is it fun? Is it difficult? How does it look? Mechanics, components, everything. Right now, let's take a look at how Merlin by Stefan Feld and Queen Games, Michael Renick, looks right now. Make sure to follow us here on the latest retro. Let's take a look at this. Bryan, what have we told you about doing reviews on the floor? Well, we've been doing a lot of renovation, so I can't really go out there right now. But we're taking a look right now at Merlin. Let's see it set up right now. This is your main board. I like the fact that it is, in fact, a round table with impossible art, by the way, because you're getting the same angle no matter which way you sit. Kind of like the round table. Everyone's equals, right? Then you seed the board with all of these different things, just like this. Every one of the provinces has one of these different sections with shields, with flags, and with resource cubes. It looks kind of like this when they go out there. Okay, by all of them set up, I actually mean just, hold on. Okay, by all of them set up, I actually mean we're just going to set up the blue because they're all just equals. They're the same. It's a set of flags, a set of shields, and a set of resource cubes. And what happens is you do different actions. Some of them involve these spaces, which involve directly these provinces, or you do the regular spaces on the rondel. But first, let's talk about a few concepts. And then there are two other boards. There's a sideboard and your own personal board that we'll talk about in just a minute in a very Stefan Feld way. What you do is every player gets a certain set of resources. Now, currently, I'll show you just what goes on this board in a minute, but nothing actually goes on the board immediately. It only goes on the board when you place something. So for instance, you have 4 dice. You have your 3 in your color and 1 Merlin dice, which means that you have a worker out here on the board, and then there's a white token for Merlin. Merlin has a little interesting rule. Everybody shares Merlin. So wherever Merlin is, everyone can use him. So I think Merlin will start in there. I think he actually starts here, but either way, it doesn't matter. Just pretend this is the middle of the game. So if I play my 5 dice, I would then move my character in a clockwise motion 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do this action. This would be for every influence point I have. No, I'm sorry, that's not that one. This is wherever I have an influence point. Let's say I have one in blue, or anywhere. I would pick one of them and take a resource cube from an area I have an influence in. Put this over in your area, and you'll use these to spend later. Now, had I played Merlin, I would then move the Merlin dice instead. This one's 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. But Merlin can also move backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Merlin can move clockwise and counterclockwise. So that's the gist of movement. Now let's talk about what these different actions do. I'll zoom in here to the rondel so we can see kind of what the actions do, because the other parts are exactly the same. It's flags, it's shields, it's cubes, and that's it. So let's just kind of go around and talk about the different actions. There are really a few different types of actions. These two, this is Excalibur, this is the Holy Grail. If you have Excalibur and you defeat all your traders by the end of the round, you get 3 points. If you have the Holy Grail, you get to break 1 tie, and we'll talk about scoring in a minute. The Holy Grail also grants you an apple. Apples, which you start with 1 of in the beginning of the game. Apples allow you to change one of your dice to any number you want it to be. So it's the most powerful of Stefan Feld's action workers. So that's those 2 spaces. The ones with this symbol here with the building on it, this is for the Environs board, which we'll talk about, like I said, in just a minute. But it's for the things that go in between here. And this is how you build. This is where the resource cubes really come into play for, other than cards. Next, this one allows you to trade in cards. You have to discard 2 and then draw 2 more. You said, what are the cards for? Well, the cards are interesting. This is another way to get victory points. There are things like this. Have 2 blue cubes, get 2 victory points. The bottom here has to do with the variant. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The one thing is you don't spend the cubes. So this one is have 2 blue cubes, you get 2 victory points. You just have to have it, but you can only do 1 of these in your turn. So there's different options. This would be have a dwarf out on the, or it's not a dwarf, I call him a dwarf. Have the craftsman out on the dragon territory over there. Have these 2 craftsmen just out on the board, or this is the craftsman, this is the flag bearer, out on the board somewhere. When you do this, you always draw back up to 4. So you have a hand of 4 cards at all times. So that's what that is. These, let me go ahead and talk about the colorful ones. The province ones, the main ones, what you do there is you'll take one of your 4 henchmen, which is such a great term actually. One of your 4 henchmen, there are 4 different ones. Each of them have a sticker on top of a nice round piece of wood there. You got your flag bearer, your craftsman, your shield bearer, and your lady in waiting. Now you can probably tell what they do, except for the lady in waiting, based on what they're holding. Actually, the lady in waiting is holding an influence cube. I never noticed that before. So if you place your flag guy out on one of the places on the province, you would take a flag from that province's color. If you were to place your shield bearer, guess what? You take the shield. Craftsman, you take the wooden resource. And the lady in waiting, you put an influence cube into the area. So if you remember, the influence cubes are how you, in fact, get, it's not a cube, but the influence token into the area. The influence is how you get certain things off the board, but also in the scoring round, these are done like area control things. The person who has the most influence cubes here scores the points of wooden bits in that place. So if there's 5 people there, 5 cubes there total, you would score 5 points. So it's pretty neat the way that works. Going around from there, we'll talk about this. The ones with the victory points are get victory points based on what's above it. So this would be flags, this would be cubes, this would be shields here, and then this one would be for influence you have. This one is move a craftsman from one area to an adjacent area. That's always good, because then as soon as you do it, you do the duty there and get that ability or that resource. The only other one would be, I believe, this one here, which is trade any one good for another good. That would be a shield, flag, or a resource good for any one other good. And that's all the different actions on the board right there. Let's talk about your personal player board here, because it's pretty simple, and I really like this. So up at the top, there are shields, and I'll show you something interesting about this. Everyone starts the round with 3 traders, and you'll always have 3 traders. Your goal is to rebuff these 3 traders throughout the round. And one of the great things about Merlin is just the fact that everything has a spot that things fit in, and I love that. Just so happens we got 2 of the same trader this time, which means you have to have 2 shields to rebuff them. But you notice they notch into the top, and you've got them there the whole round. Well, your goal is to, in fact, defeat these traders. And if you can, you don't lose any victory points. If you do, nothing happens unless you have Excalibur. If you do defeat them and you have Excalibur, you get 3 victory points. However, if you don't defeat them, they're worth -3 victory points for each one you don't defeat. How do you defeat them? You would need a shield per trader under them. So you would need a purple one here and 2 blue ones here. Now also, Excalibur allows you to defeat a trader when you get it. Now there are other ways to get rid of these traders as well. Some of the flags, the black flag for instance, allows you, instead of spending a shield, it allows you just to defeat one color of trader. All the flags are neat because they do different things, but also, check this out, I love about the art. They match up really nicely right here, so your flags just kind of stick off the side of your board, so really cool. Let's talk about what the different flags do right here, just to kind of give you a heads up on why you need to collect flags, because they're one of the things you don't think you need to collect because they're only good for victory points off the cards, but they all have power. So the black one I talked about, gray will allow you to do 2 mission cards that turn if you spend your flag. Now you have to spend the flags to do this. When you do, you also gain 2 victory points. The blue will let you move backwards, so you can go counterclockwise that turn. Purple lets you turn the dice, means you turn it to its opposite face. Orange lets you do the action across the action of another knight, so someone else's player, you would do that action. And then last but not least is brown. You would do the action across the board from you. So if you landed here, and one thing, these are only for the knights, by the way. If you landed here, you would actually be doing the action of this space here. So that's a neat little power. But that's all of the main board. The other thing are the environs. So the way this works is you're going to set out the environs kind of like this. So it looks like this. You have all these different areas on the board laid out. This is the environs. So earlier that action about laying one of your manors, that's what you do. You'd pay the cube. Now look at the way the cubes work. This is pretty neat. You would actually spin the cube based on where you want to place it. If you spin an orange cube, it can be placed on this line, or this line. There are no more over here. However, black cubes can be placed here, here, here. So everything has a line drawn off of it, and that's why this is random. The way the environs work is, first of all, you notice the spaces with the tower on them. If you place there, you get to place an influence cube, or take a flag, or take a shield. So this is another way to get resources during your turn. However, this is another area control type place. Notice the ones that are touching. These are one large kind of area. So this one has 5, or 6, excuse me. If you are the highest amount of manners in this area, you would get all the spaces counted. So it'd be 6 points for you. If you tie with somebody, you would split it. So each place you have the majority of, you count that many squares of the same color. This would be 2, this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 6. Then we got a 4 here, a 3 here, a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 1 here. Just another quick way to get victory points. You can't break this tie with the Holy Grail, but you can break this tie. Up here is the scoring. You'll notice the first thing you do is you count the traders, you rebuff your traders, you draw 3 more for the next round, you then score for the Environs, then you score for the area control part that we were talking about. So if you have the most in this province here, you would score 1 point per wooden bit there. You then retract down to 1 per person in that spot, and then you start the next round after counting 1 victory point per henchman you have on the board. So the more of these you have out, the better it is. If someone goes to your space and bumps you, it goes back to your board though, therefore potentially limiting your victory points. And apples are worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. Merlin staffs are worth 2 victory points at the end of the game, and all of your goods, your bits from the board, you know, those are worth 1 victory point per 3. But you say, what are the Merlin staffs? You didn't cover them. These are cool. If you spend a Merlin staff, you get to do Merlin's action twice. So interesting little tweak there. So that's how Merlin plays. Very streamlined, very, very nice. Let's break down this kind of the idea of the whole review here. Let's do components first. First of all, nice wooden pieces, obviously. The only gripe I have, and I'll start with the gripe and then I'll go to all the good things, is that I don't think it ever really tells you what the cubes are. It's just blue cube. You know, trade good from this country, trade good from this group, trade good from this group. And that's fine, because it's really not about the, you know, what this good is or what it does. It's you need a good from this group of people who make this thing. So it's not really as key, but that's my only gripe, is you really don't, it doesn't matter what they are. It's just a colorful cube from that company or that area, that group, that kingship or whatever it is. Anyway, that's the only gripe I have. What I really love, art components wise, is when you place this board down, there's no right orientation to it. Much like the Knights of the Round Table, everyone's equal. So no matter which way you're sitting at this board, you're looking at it from the right side. There's nothing more frustrating than when you're trying to learn a game for the first time and you're looking at it from the back side of the board and you're like, I hope that's right. Can I see that? What's there? So I really like that. The rondelle is nice. It's cool the way there's so many options, and while you do feel like you get pigeonholed sometime to where you have no options, there are things to mitigate that, whether that's an apple, whether that's using Merlin, whether that's, you know, counting out for your next turn to get somewhere better. So I really like that. The idea of using a rondelle system with the dice placement is a really good idea too, to where you have options to where you, well, I don't want to use my 2 right now, but if I use my 2 now and then my 4, at least I'll be on that space. It's better than using my 4 now to get this option and then using my 2. So it makes you think a couple turns at a time. Plus you've got the option to use Merlin and move him backwards or forwards. Then there's all the different flags, and that's cool too, because the flags do different things and give you different abilities. So that's always fun to have the options to do what you need to do. Now, as it is a Stefan Feld game, there's one of those inherent issues, and I think he does this on purpose, is that you never feel like you can do enough. Like you always feel like I wish I had one more, I don't know if it's a turn, or one more action, or one more whatever, but you always feel like, well, I need this thing, but crud, I gotta get shields over here so I can not lose 3 points. You know, I gotta do this, but I can't, because I gotta make this card work. It doesn't make sense for me to get that flag because I don't need it for any of my cards. So that's one of the frustrations, but it's also one of the whole purposes behind Feld's games. He does this thing on purpose where if you're playing Trajan, for instance, you go, well, I really need to take the Senate action, but you count out your cubes, and no matter which way you pick up a cube, you're not going to be able to get on the action you need. It's kind of like this with the dice. No matter what dice you pick up right now, you're not necessarily going to be able to do what you need, but there are ways to mitigate it, like I said. So I really enjoyed Merlin. I like the way it plays. I like the components. I like the way the board looks. It's very pretty. It's a little bit lighter of a Feld game than diving into something like Trajan or Bora Bora, and I like that. But it still feels like one of those things where you're spinning so many plates at one time that you can't let any of those plates fall if you want to win. The one thing I don't understand, and maybe it's just because I'm bad at board games, the circle goes all the way around like 100+ points. I'm never going to get that many points in this game. I have no clue how that's even possible. Now, there might be pro Merlin players out there who can get this many points. That's fine. You'll have to shoot me messages, show me how to get more points, because I'm just not doing it. So that's Merlin from Stefan Feld. Great game. I really liked it. Carla really loves the game. It's one of her favorites that we played in a while. So Merlin, Stefan Feld, great game, fun time. Go check it out. Dice placement, rondelle system, love it. That's it for me this time on the Dice Tower here with Bryan Drake. Now, hey, one thing to update you on, we now have a Patreon. So you say, Bryan, we don't want to support your Patreon. That's fine. I'm not hawking it or begging or anything. If you enjoy what we do, make sure to drop a little money in it. The Latest Retro on Patreon. It's patreon.com/thelatestretro. If not, continue to watch these videos, interact, have fun. Don't be so mad while you're so mad. Till next time, we'll see you.
Watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.